Hey girlies, I'm Aubrie.
And I'm Peyton.
And today we are reviewing the third and final book in the Powerless trilogy, Fearless by Lauren Roberts.
Yes, so drink with a cup of coffee as we dive between these paper sheets. Let's do this. Welcome back, everyone, to the Hardcover podcast. This book review has been long awaited for a lot of different people. We are excited to jump into this because we have thoughts. Aubrie has lots of thoughts. I have thoughts. And so we are going to unpack them in this video.
So this is book 3. And so where book 2 left off was us returning to the palace and our main girl, Peyton Gray, getting engaged to not the prince she loves, but his brother, the king, Kit. And the book kind of just takes off from there. We've got a good amount of loose ends to tie up in this book, as we do with most fantasy books and the trilogy in the end. But guys, we did not end really that strong with the last book. Well, I guess the ending was the only strong part about the book.
Yeah, I would say that. I can confidently say I hated Reckless. I hated Reckless. I can see a world in which I could fight for a powerless girly. Guys, there's no way I could fight for Reckless. There was no way.
You can't. There's no plot. There was no plot. There was no tension. There was no stakes in that book.
So this book, going into it, I'm like, I have no idea what to expect. Like, seriously, no idea. All I know is I felt like it looked 10 times longer than the last book. So I'm like, oh gosh, like, what is this book going to be? Are we just combining what should have been book 2 and 3? So, look at the size
Look at that difference. That's hideous, truly. Like, before starting the book, I think Peyton and I were crying about it. We were like, it can't be that much longer. The second book wasn't good.
Yes, but I will say, it doesn't matter how much we hate a series. If we start it, we will continue that series.
Yeah. So let's just say our expectations going into this book were not strong. We're not high.
We were excited.
We felt forced to read this by our loving fans at the Hardcover podcast. But going into it, how'd you feel?
Going into it, I was excited just to get started because the good thing she did is she left the last book on a cliffhanger, right? So going into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, what's this arranged marriage situation going to look like? How is this going to play out, basically? Like, what's she going to do with the plot? I was excited to get into that. And then once I was hooked in, I read the book in like 2 days. So there was something about the writing that kept me going. I think her writing, we'll get into that, has changed so much from the last book to this book. I think there's been some enhancements. I also think she has a long way to go, but there has been some improvements in this book, definitely.
I want to say this book is levels better than Reckless, and I think it's even better than Powerless was.
Yeah, I would say that.
However, I'm getting tripped up over the fact that I keep being like, oh, this book is so much better. But is it a good book, or is it just better than its predecessor? You know what I mean?
Oh, that's totally fair.
Yeah. If I compare this book to the other books in the series, I'm like, damn, she really did a number with this one. There was almost originality in this one. And then after I finished this book, I compared it to the final book in the Red Queen series, and it doesn't match. Red Queen just like washes it out every time. That I wanted to be nicer in this video, and I wanted to say better things, and I have a few compliments stored up in me, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, you know what? Is this a hit, or is it just less of a miss?
Yeah, and I like just being on TikTok a lot, and also whenever someone's really raving about these books, I love looking at their bookshelves to see what they read. And 9 times out of 10, people that are obsessed buying the Etsy merch, like went to the book signings, like went to the release parties, they have romance all over their shelves. And I think that, and if I was coming into fantasy for the first time and I read these books, I'd be like, whoa, this is great. And then as I read more fantasy, I'll be like, oh, actually, like, they were good. They were fine. They were my entry level, like my, entrance into this genre.
Mm-hmm.
But like, they're not that great.
Yeah.
I don't think a true fantasy reader is reading these books and is like, yes. I just don't think it. But totally agree with you, especially with the Red Queen drama.
Which can we talk about for a moment? Because I don't think that the drama was at the levels that it got in the past year when Reckless came out. So, for y'all who don't know, when Lauren Roberts originally wrote The Powerless, the first book, and she indie published it, she comped all the time. Like, she was very clear in her marketing. Like, I was inspired by the Red Queen book and Hunger Games. And she put that out there into the world and she made it clear. And then if you read the book, you'd see that it's like a scene by scene taken. Like, you can compare down to the scene level and not just tropes.
The feeling. Yeah, the tropes.
Yeah, it's not like she was just like, oh, that book was really cool. Let me take my own version of that. She was stealing scenes, and that's where it starts to feel a little icky.
Yeah.
But people make their choice. Recently, Powerless has only grown in popularity, and it's been a minute since anything with Red Queen was published. And the further we drift from that, the more people are forgetting the source material, to the point where a few months ago-ish, Victoria Aveyard, who is the author of Red Queen, made a TikTok talking about the plot of Red Queen, marketing her book, as she should, to try to sell it. And her comment section got filled with people accusing her of plagiarism. She got so much backlash and hate from fans of Powerless, idiots, literal idiots, for saying that she took the plot of Powerless. Mind you, for that to have happened, she would have had to invent time travel to go to the future, to go to 2023, and then taken the plot of Powerless instead of, like, I don't know, if I invented time travel specifically to steal from another author, I think I'd go for the Hunger Games. I'd go for something a little bit bigger, a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be taking the damn Powerless series.
Oh, absolutely.
And the process that has just like rinsed and repeated for the past few months now, to the point where Victoria Aveyard just posted on Threads like 3 days ago being like, I need to remind you guys to look into publication dates before you say something stupid.
Do your research before you come at me. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So let's just say, if you love these books, well, there's other books out there that you might also like.
Yes.
And pick up Red Queen. Let's talk a little bit about Lauren's prose in this book. And that's generally like her craft of writing. Like, how good is she as a writer in this book? Because there's been some improvements since the first book, as all authors should improve over their career.
Yes.
I want to hear Peyton's thoughts first.
This is the thing. There are certain things she chose to write. This is hard. There are certain things she chose to write that I felt were cop-outs, but those I feel are like character and plot-based, but the actual writing style, I mean, it reminds me of like Powerless. It feels self-published. It was easy to read and I was never confused. I can't tell you one great thing about her prose. I can say that.
I feel as though, listen, guys, I hate the phrase try hard because it like insinuates that trying is a bad thing. However, I think it's a little applicable in this book, especially in the front half of the book. I think she got like a little like tired and wasn't trying as hard with her words, particularly by the back half. But I think that like, especially in the prologue, I was like, you're not a better writer if you throw more adjectives into your sentences, if you use a few big words. Like, I felt like she heard the criticisms of specifically Reckless and that her writing was bad, but I feel like she like tried to compensate it with, instead of actually giving good writing, she just started like being like, and now every word will have a specific adjective attached to it. But I don't know, like it felt a little tired to me. And another critique I just have of, I think generally like her prose and then also her storytelling is that she writes every line, every sentence as if it could be pulled for a TikTok.
I agree with you. I feel like every sentence she writes is like as if it's like the closing line of a character's life all the time. So it feels like all the time, every time Kay, oh my God, Kay and Kai have a conversation, it feels like this is their last. But it's not. Like, it doesn't have to be so like high tense all the time. Like, just right. And I think that's why the ending of the book, or the last maybe like quarter of the book, kind of felt more carefree and fluid, because I think she just like let go, because all of the like things she was keeping secret, you know, all those like plot reveals already were revealed, and she could just write.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster is fun because you're going up and down. You know what I mean? Like you have like the motion to it. And if you write everything as if you're at the highest stakes possible, then nothing has stakes. This story has no stakes, has no genuine, palpable tension, because we treat every situation, every scene, every sentence, every character line of fucking dialogue as if it is the epitome of the series, as if it needs to be blurbed on the back and tattooed on your skin. And if you treat everything like it's that important, then nothing is important.
Yeah, the super important moments don't stand out. No, I 100%. There's a certain amount of like, all right, we love yearning. We love male yearning.
Yeah.
But like, by all of the constant yearning in this book, because Kai is kind of pinned really between his relationship with Peyton and then his relationship with his brother Kit. The yearning and the constant like him talking like any word could be his last to Peyton made it hard to believe that he was actually loyal to Kit, which then kind of sacrificed that plot line for me. It just makes me not really like fall in love with their love story, which I want to, because it's kind of cool, but it's like it makes me not really like him. That makes sense, because I'm like, dude, like be a little more mysterious.
Yeah, I rewatched some of our Reckless video to prepare for this, and in it, I mentioned how our friend from book club, Taylor, shout out to Taylor, she said that what she liked about this series, specifically from the first book, is that it was the characters, and that Kai felt like he was actually morally gray, that she didn't hold back some of those punches. She let him kill people and not just be like a soft cinnamon roll.
Oh, yeah.
And God forbid, is he not just a soft cinnamon roll in this book? And that was my problem with the last book, because in the last book, they kept saying they were going to kill each other when you knew they never would. And so don't place your stakes on that. And in this book, they treated as if because of the marriage, the characters weren't going to get together. And you knew that they were going to. And like that can be a fun like tension of like, this is what's extending it out. And it was for the first 2 chapters. Mm-hmm. But then when we don't move past that, when we don't add any further depth to the story, when these characters are the same characters that they were on page 1 of Powerless, on the last page of Fearless, you're lacking something that you need to make it actually a good book. And I think some people just read really quickly, and they don't they don't think when they're reading. And I understand the idea of like, I read to escape, but I want to escape into something and not just brain off like, I don't know, like even reality trash TV is entertaining, and it's hard to be entertaining when you're always just at the surface.
Yeah, or at this really, you're always at high stakes constantly.
Yes.
And there's never that like dip in the story, which is necessary, because readers need time to breathe. Moving on.
Yes.
Character-wise, give us a pulse check on this is what we're going to do.
Okay.
Rank your favorite character down to the character you hate the least, main characters only. So we're probably the top 3.
Yeah.
Or 3.
Kit, Paige, and Kai.
Kit, Paige, and Kai. Okay.
Yeah. Easy. You know why?
Because you never hear from Kai. You're not in Kai.
No, Kai is my least favorite.
You're not in Kit's head.
Because we're not in Kit's head. And because he changes the most throughout the books.
I have comments about that too.
A character arc. Peyton and Kai didn't change. They're the same fucking people on page 1. And I swear to God, there were fucking scenes where Peyton's like, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm so different from the girl I was before. I'm like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're fucking not, actually. You're the same, Go, Peyton.
I think I would say Kit. I liked Kit's character, and then I would say, Paige and Kai. But I will say, weirdly, I hate chapters from the male love interest's head. Yeah. In this book, I guess maybe because I just don't care that much about it. I didn't mind it. I was like, okay, cool. Now I kind of know where you're at, and I don't have to guess. Because we had to guess where Kit was at a lot because we didn't get the Kit POVs. So that kind of left it more mysterious. And that was kind of the whole book. It's like, what's Kit gonna do about this, right? So that's kind of where I'm at.
Oh, speaking of POV chapters.
Yeah.
Kit was exciting because we weren't in his head. We did get Eric, which I don't think he was named before, but it's the king.
It's Edric.
Edric. Yeah, whatever. It looks like Eric with a D in it.
Yeah.
But I was so weirded out with the POVs switching between Peyton and Kai in this book because I felt like we kept having each other's big moments in the opposite character's head.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. There was a couple times where I'm like, I would like to be experiencing this in her head, not his, and then vice versa. I would agree with you, and I'm okay with them thinking back to that moment so we kind of get what they're thinking, but I don't want to experience. I 100% agree with you. I've had that thought where I'm like, wait. Actually, to the extent where I had to check the chapter and be like, am I in Kai's head?
Yeah.
I would get confused. Edric's chapters is the former king. So these chapters are set in the past. And I have to say, I loved them. When I got to an Edric chapter, I was like, yes, because it gave the whole story, it gave the world, it gave it these legs that it didn't have before, that we were able to get this history and how it connects, and that maybe Lauren did have to think 2 books ahead when she was writing. Give the girl a little bit of props. I know it's stolen. I know all that. But there are certain things where I'm like, oh, wow, okay. I loved his chapters. I think that's what made the book for me, was getting that. It felt so satisfying to get those answers of who are these people? And why do you hate ordinaries? And why are they even here? And why don't we talk to the other kingdoms? Those are the things in fantasy books I want to know. That's the more political intrigue part, not the romance part. So I love the political parts. And then of course, the corruption in the family and I don't
know if she looked ahead or she just looked back and kind of used it to fill in. She was like, oh shit, everyone's asking these questions. I need to figure it out. And I think that's fine either way.
Yeah.
I truly believe that to a certain extent, she Discovery wrote the series.
Yeah.
And I heard from her interviews that in book 1, Kit originally was going to have all 4 elemental powers instead of just the 2 he has. And he was in the trials and her editor had to be like, why is the future king in the trials? It's already stupid enough that the elites are in these trials, that the prince is in these trials. And she was like, the Kit's got to go. But she said that he was in there and she had to do a major rewrite because it felt more like a typical love triangle in the first book. And she was using Kit being in the trials as that love triangle device. Well, obviously, despite spoilers that happen in this book, everyone fucking knows it was never a guessing of who Peyton was going to end up with, and the love triangle bits got removed. But I don't know when they got removed in the process. I think she had some things in mind ahead of time. And some things, maybe she found along the way.
Yeah, it's the plot we made along the way. All right, maybe our ratings. What did you rate this book?
I gave this book, I think, a very generous 3 stars. I think we improved from the previous book. I actually didn't realize I had given Powerless 2 stars. Oh. And that was because I was so pissed off about the Red Queen bits.
Yeah.
I gave Reckless 2 stars as an angry, Brandon Sanderson has a quote where he's like, the 1-star reviews don't hurt because there's a lot of people who just DNF the book. The 2-star reviews are the people who finish the book and have a vendetta against you.
Oh yeah, definitely. So
and that's where I was for Reckless. I think that this book, I think it majorly improved. I think I have a lot of critiques, and I personally am glad that I'm finished with the series.
Yeah, I agree with you. I gave this one 3.54 stars because I think I gave Powerless probably a 3. I'm pretty sure I gave Reckless a 2. Mm-hmm. And so this one deserved its flowers, especially since it was just a better book. So I was like, it's so funny. I was going to the book with pretty low expectations, but trying to have none. Mm-hmm. And because what is there to build off of? I don't know what the stakes are other than that she's supposed to marry Kit. I didn't know who's the villain in this story? What's the, it's this big, what's the action going to be? What's the conflict? I didn't know where it was going. It went to a place that I felt when I finished it very good in the realm of this series. I think she did the best she could have done knowing the damage that was already done, if that makes sense for me personally.
Yeah, I think some of the ending should have been chopped off.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
The main ending, I think, was the best ending out there. It was also the ending of Red Queen.
Right. So, I'm 3.54.
I understand that if I may disagree, but I understand.
All right, let's get into our spoiler section here because I have lots of notes and
yes,
we can go through them together if this is a good time that you made it this far and you're agreeing with us. Subscribe, you can hate, comment if you want. That's fine. We all have our opinions here. And you can see sometimes, oh my God, I just want to call you my fiance's name. Aubrie has way different opinions than I have. So even on here, we have different opinions. But on this book, we're pretty, this series, it feels like a little bit of salt in a cut.
Yeah. But we will give love to books when we feel they deserve love and hate when they maybe need a little honesty.
Yeah, never say that we weren't honest on this podcast. That is for sure. Okay, so we are jumping into our spoiler section here. So if you haven't read the book yet, this is a good time to skedaddle. We are going to reveal it all because a lot does get revealed in this book.
Fun fact that we don't often do, but with this book, Peyton and I both separately kept notes of our thoughts as we were reading in our phone app.
Yeah.
We've each got points we want to bring to the table. Mine are mostly of why I don't like this book. I don't think I wrote a single complimentary thing down. I think my only compliment was that it was better than the previous one, and when we get to Kit's big reveal at the end.
Okay.
But let's start in the beginning. What is your first discussion point to bring to the table?
So the cool thing about writing down notes when you're reading like that is this was my real-time actual thought. When you finish a book, hindsight's always 20/20. You always look back with a different lens than when you were actually reading the book. And so I'm going to try, as long as it's not confusing, because sometimes I write these at 2 a.m. I want to read them word for word and then I'll elaborate on whatever, because I have not reviewed this list since I wrote it. And I would just keep tallying. So this was real. So chapter 1, trials, I have no idea where this book was going, especially since Kit that says Caitlin, but I know it means Kai. Kit, Kai, and Pei made up so fast. Oh yes. In the beginning of the book, they are basically like, it's all good, guys. Like, I thought the whole book was going to be we need to solve this relationship we're having and like show Kit that dad was actually a bad person. And right in the beginning of the book, they're like, you know what, Pei? We get it. Like, Kai and Kit have a little kumbaya moment, and he's like, I get it. Like, I don't know if I'll forever forgive you, but like, I'm not going to condemn you. Like, I'm not, at least in the beginning of the book, it was like, oh, so we're already making up, and
we're instantly removing the stakes and tension that we had built.
That's intent. My intentions going in was going to be that was the plot,
and it's gone. And I think that was a mistake on her part because they instantly are like, we're all buddies. And obviously, hindsight, we know that Kit was kind of pretending into this game a little bit. But what it ended up doing is it made the entire interactions between the three of them up until the reveal stale.
Well, yes, because there was no necessary strife between them, which in the end, when that reveal is made, it makes all of that feel very like, it hurts because it's like, bro, I thought we were good. Like, I thought we squashed the beef and you're not over it. So
when you squashed it so easily,
because he was faking it. So it was like, oh, of course you squashed it easily because you were actually like a two-faced bitch who was like, actually, I'm going to try to kill you. And so anyways,
I don't know if he would have made her work for it, then I would have bought into, as the reader, the more likely explanation of, oh, maybe he is just like that in love with her. If he had acted a little bit more jealous, like if we had gotten some sort of tension between them, then when the reveal hit, I think it would have hurt harder for me. But instead I was like, well, yeah, it was stale throughout the entire series. Like, okay.
Like, my perspective of, like, you were talking about with Powerless, how she initially was going to have it as a love triangle. I always thought it felt like a love triangle. I never thought...
She put those elements in.
Yeah. And so, in this book, I was expecting Kit to kind of have the perspective of, like, well, why'd you choose him over me? Am I not good enough? Like, we were cool. Like, we were friends. You killed my dad. Like, why him and not me, that kind of thing. But instead, it was Kit saying to Kai, why her and not me? Which also then shows his intentions a little bit more. I put down also with the trials. I said, I think Kay and Pei's scenes were tense and sexy, but the sneaking around and using the word pretend in italics is kind of lame. If I heard the word pretend one more time, I was going to burn the book. Okay? I was tired of it because it feels so juvenile and stupid because everyone knows they're not pretending. And so it's not this like secretive, sexy thing. I will say the relationship, like the romantics of it, like there are certain elements where I was like, oh, I got butterflies. Like, that's so sweet. Or the little sneaking around like into each other's rooms. I love that. But the whole like pretend, I just got to pretend. It's like, it was very whiny. It was kind of whiny to me. And I didn't really like that.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to know the final count?
Oh, did you count? That's why I forgot you were counting. What was the count?
I started to count and then I realized I have this on the Kindle. So
yeah, you can look it up.
Google it. So I just looked it up and 54 times did the word pretend or pretending show up in this book. And I gotta say, that's 54 times too many.
Yes, it was feeling like they were trying to add this like whole other plot line to it that just didn't feel necessary.
Well, and pretend was the whole thing of Reckless. In Reckless, they kept saying they were going to pretend with each other.
It feels dirty.
And so it was poorly done. And I don't think anyone liked it. So I don't know why she kept it around.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like we talk about the TikTok quote thing. Like there are quotes in this book where you're like, damn, Lauren, like, wow, like that's a quote. We didn't need 20 of them, but like, wow, like there are quotes in this book. I'm like, wow, like the way he said that, or like the way he does just like unashamedly just like love her. He loves her. There's something so special about that. And that's what I look for in my fantasy books. It was just the execution of how they then chose to express that love, especially outwardly to everyone else. I was like, this feels icky.
I want to add here a little ick of my own in this series. And it is one that I might have brought up before, but I think became like a forefront for me in this book in particular. And that is, I'm going to say the word stakes a million times. As much as Lauren Roberts says pretend, I'm going to say the word stakes. And it was the removal of stakes when it comes to killing people. I was so fucking irritated. I had to stop the book multiple times because of this dry, stale ass take she took on like the morality of killing people and how that weighs on you.
Yeah.
It was so stupid. And it showed up in Reckless as well, where we have like Kai's whole thing in book 1 was that he is the enforcer. He is a monster because he has to kill. And that's interesting. And then she took that from being interesting to being irritating.
Yeah.
Because what it became is every time when put in a situation, Peyton or Kai will kill someone. And then they'll go and they'll cry and whine to the other person and be like, my soul is stained. I killed someone. And then never touch it again.
Yeah.
They're just like, I'm a monster. My soul's stained. How can I ever be a person like this? And then the other one would be like, no, baby, you're perfect. You're impeccable. And they'd be like, okay, let's kiss. Like, shut the fuck up. The whole Blair plot, I wanted
unnecessary.
to reach through the book and strangle Peyton, I guess, because she has this huge thing about how killing someone is staining her soul, even though she instantly forgets about it constantly. Like as soon as she's done saying like, oh, I'm so sorry, like the guilt's gone.
I'm the next person.
It's so ridiculous. There's never a moment where like in fighting, like, you know what I mean? Like if it was a character arc and like she has to kill to survive. And then she's like, this is a huge stain. Like this is a weight.
That's what it felt like in the first 2 books. Like she has no choice. She has
Then I feel like you'd get to a point where maybe you'd slip up in battle because you don't want to kill someone. Or maybe you choose to let someone go and then they'd come back to haunt you. Right. And like that show to be like a mistake. There's so many ways to grapple and deal with this idea, this fictional idea of killing people. Right. Because like, I mean, Lauren Roberts and like her audience are not people who will ever have to like make that decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this isn't a World War II book. Right. And so it's just so dry that she just doesn't like, I don't know, like just doesn't do it well. And she's just hitting the same point over and over and over again. Every time they kill someone, they say, it stained my soul, and then they move on. And then with Blair, who killed Adina in trials. Like, let's not forget that this was very much in the trials where Peyton let and told Kai to kill people. Like, Kai killed people in trials. I'm sure the people that Kai killed in the trials also had like friends and family.
Yeah.
But Peyton has zero self-control around Blair. She keeps losing her shit. She keeps like, they have to hide her. And like, I think Lauren was trying to show that that was a character flaw and perhaps the only character flaw that Peyton was allowed to have. But it was so irritating because she doesn't really learn from it. Because in the end, Blair is like, I'm sorry about your friend. She's like, please don't kill me. Peyton ruthlessly kills her. And then in the next conversation, she immediately is telling Lenny and is like, I don't regret it. And then he's like, you like, she was a good person. And Peyton's like, oh, that was so cruel of Lenny to tell me that my actions were bad. That was so mean of him. Like she literally types like in the, I like highlighted it because I was so annoyed. She's like, it was so cruel of Lenny to tell me that it was bad of me to kill Blair. And then, like, somehow Blair survived it. I guess she got healed, and like they just
now she
they
just has like
they
burnt hair.
lied and said they took care of the body. And it was supposed to be this like come to Jesus moment at the end where Peyton's like, I've moved on, I'm a different person. And perhaps that's her character arc, but she literally never thought about killing Blair again. Like,
Yeah.
besides Lenny bringing it up to her, she never thought about it again. She had no regrets, obviously. She didn't later have regrets. Blair doesn't get mentioned until she sees her and she's like, I'm a mother now. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. Sorry, Peyton, your point.
No, I totally agree with that. I was watching a TikTok and there's more instances of this. And this girl was like, listen, this is the thing about the book. We find something out and then the next chapter, it's dealt with. And then we find something out and then the next chapter, it's dealt with. Like, we find this huge thing out, or they do this huge thing and the next chapter, we're done with it. Like, we move on. And so it's like, what? Like, you're like, oh, this is a big moment in the book. And then it's like, oh, we don't think about that anymore. And so you just feel like numb reading it because you're just skating over all these things. So someone did have the same thought as us. And I had that thought too. Let's see here. I said bringing back the trials was kind of weird, but the execution has been awesome so far. It didn't feel like everyone wanted her to compete again. The reason felt pointless because at the moment, there is no true villain anymore. So, like, why are we putting this girl through these things? Yeah, people are like, no, she shouldn't be the queen, blah, blah, blah. Like, but no one's like, I'm gonna start shit if you marry her. No one did that. But it was Kit's idea. At this point, I didn't know. I was like, there's no villain in this book. Why are we putting her through this? Why are we putting her through these 3 Bs when we just talked about, when we all had our kumbaya moment in like chapter 3, that we're not going to be brutal anymore? Like,
yeah.
So like,
it made no sense.
And like, why isn't Kai like, hey, we don't do that anymore? And then they're like, oh, but let's bring back this thing Dad loves to do. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. The trials themselves, the first 2, especially the second one, loved. Thought it was great. I loved going on a little like pirate adventure. Like, it was so much fun seeing other people, talking to other people, getting different perspectives of this world. Like, loved it. It's just, what was the point? I understand the point now, but it just felt so pointless when reading it.
Which makes it unsatisfying, which makes you not care in the moment. Like, I would have had a better reaction to the trials had I felt like they were necessary. But honestly, if Peyton needs to prove herself, like the lie that we're given, right? Then I think her surviving the original trials when she was pretending to be an elite and wasn't, and going up against all of those elites.
Yeah.
I think that's a better showcase of you surviving than the second round of trials. And also, stakes again, I never once was worried about her life.
No.
Never once. Never. And so like I get there's a balance. Like, you're always like, okay, the main character is probably going to survive. But I felt like she didn't incorporate, like, she did nothing that dangerous really happened. And I just like, I was numb to it.
I was so numb to it. And it's so funny because I was reading, you know, when she goes on the ship with Kai, which like, this is a whole other thing, is they didn't feel like trials. They just felt like, hey, we need you to, like, because he's the enforcer, like she's great with things, like, I don't know, she's nifty. They're like, hey, can you go do this? Like,
which they could have done without the premise of a trial,
right? And so, but of course, in Lauren's head, I think there's like, these are the stakes. She needs to complete these to be accepted as royalty or the queen, and like,
like a full circle moment of we're back in the trials,
right? And the fact, of course, like, if Kai wasn't with her, especially in the second trial, I would have been pissed because I'm like, when are they going to be together? Like, I want them to be together. Like, I want them to be alone together. Like, I want them to go through stuff together. But the fact that Kai comes with her doesn't make it a trial for her. It makes it a trial for them and the people working on the ship. The whole crew. What, her one trial was talking to a queen? It's not that hard, sis. Like, but steering like a pirate ship through water that like the guys people died on, and like they're like, yeah, we haven't done this in a while. It's like, what? And she's just like reading her books in the ship. Like it just felt very like
La-di-da-di-da.
what's very
Princess treatment.
yeah, like for instance, like Brandon Sanderson's Trust the Emerald Sea. That's a fucking trial. That girl fights for her life on that ship. This girl's like, they're like treating her like royalty. There's nothing she has to bear and grin through on this trial. Like it didn't click for me.
She just had to hope the boat survived.
Right. But regardless, I loved that part of the book. It's just the reasoning behind it. It really icked me out.
Yeah. And it also pisses me off that, and maybe this is a bad, like, I understand Lauren was trying to do better, and I think she was hearing the criticisms. I feel as if the trials didn't exist originally, and when people were like, so pissed that there was no plot in Reckless, she was like, maybe we'll do trials again. Maybe we'll bring back what they liked in book one.
Yeah, bring
because
back
now we
that.
had so much more plot in Fearless, which is a good thing. I'd rather have the fucking plot.
Oh, yeah.
But comparing it is crazy.
Yeah, and we were able to see, like, there's a lot of things that happened in the trials. Like, she got the crown.
Aelin coded.
Yeah, right. I know. I was like, right. The flowers, like, there was a reason for everything. And then the third one was supposed to be, you know.
The third trial, this pissed me off. Because I literally called it the second I saw SJM's name and that we were going to the trials. I was like, okay, the third trial is going to be to kill Kai.
Oh, and when she did that TikTok of like, I'm going to tell like
two truths and a lie.
Yeah, I was like, and she said he dies. I'm like, okay, there's going to be a trial. They're going to take off a hood. It's going to be Kai. She's going to have to kill him. And then, of course, he's not actually going to die somehow. I just don't know how she's going to spin it.
And the fact that it was then Adina's boyfriend, and she was like, Peyton literally had no regrets. She was just like, now they get to be together. Peyton, right now, if I die and Jacob for some reason blames you and you guys fight and you kill him and you're like, it's all right, now Jacob gets to be with Aubrie.
No, he's not my problem anymore.
Why would Adina want that? Why would Adina be like, yes, queen, thank you for killing my man?
That was crazy. I said, let me see. I said for the final trial, because I have a note here.
Yes.
Final trial. The only thing here that wowed me was the retrospective told this had. And there's a chapter where Kai says, it's just like the one word. It's like fight, pay, fight. Like, come on, fight. And I was like, oh, he's saying that in his head to her because they're fighting right now. Like, this is crazy. And like, they're acting and like all of this. And then reading the prologue after wrapping up the book and how that wrapped in made that not so SJM to me because she thought of that. And I didn't think of that like, oh, for some reason, I thought maybe they like cloned Kai somehow. Like I was thinking like, oh, this is a clone, which it is. I wasn't expecting Mac, which is funny because they had that interaction where she went to the slums, right? Like it all makes sense, but retrospect, that made that so much more impactful for me. And when she did kill Kai and she was like distraught, like there was a certain amount of sadness I felt because she was so heartbroken. I mean, at this point, listen, I am like in this book. I've been reading it for hours. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like this sucks. Like, you know, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe Lauren Roberts can really surprise us and really kill off Kai. I knew she wouldn't have mentioned that on TikTok if there wasn't a resurrection. But I was just so happy to see that it wasn't actually a resurrection trope. It was, you know. Like,
I agree. It's a lot better than it could have been. I don't understand why Mac was being so romantic to her.
Yeah.
Like as Kai was dying, he was like kind of like,
and then he like turned. No, totally. I was like, wait, but if it was Mac, why would he have done those things? And you know what I mean? Like it felt icky.
And like even him dying in the end and just being like, no, like I do want Peyton to like be able to become a queen or whatever. I don't know. And I feel like I read Powerful and I don't think that was in Mac's character at all.
No.
I don't think it made any sense for him to have wanted to kill Peyton.
Yeah.
Like initially he went in, like Kit was like, oh, I'm going to hire this guy specifically because he's going to want to kill her. And then like she changed his mind. Like that, some of it makes sense. Some of it's really cool. And I think that's the problem with this entire book to me, is that she will have a cool concept, even her own or not her own. And then it doesn't make sense. Like the transition from A to B never clicks.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I do love the part where she has her like Katniss Everdeen moment with like just talking to Snow right after Kai dies, Mac dies. And she's like, this is what you wanted. Like, blah, 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 blah. And then she's freaking out. And like no one's telling her that Kai's actually like, yeah. And then my favorite thing when Kai walks in, he's like, where the hell is she? And then he walks in, he goes to her, I heard you killed me. And I giggled a little. I was like, yeah. But then they just skirt over the fact, like, now that this girl has the trauma of killing, like, her one true love, but they're like, but I'm alive now, so, like, get over it. She's like, okay. And then we're over it.
Also, can we say here, how does Kai keep getting drugged? He twice now, like the first time, it's like, okay, I didn't think that I'd get drugged in my own palace. But if you are the hot shit you pretend to be, after the first time you got drugged, I would, I don't know, be a little bit more careful. I would, like, she doesn't explain. And also, if they have this drug that can make someone so sluggish and like paralyzed, why are we not using that? Like, why is that not in the like fucking silencer enforcer handbag?
Yeah, and also, like, isn't that a red alarm to him to be like, hey, bro, what?
You're drugging me?
Like, the next one I have is chapter 20. I don't know if you have anything in between that.
I have nothing till the Kit reveal, so this is all you, boo.
Okay, I'll continue. Chapter 20, I said, what in the Cassandra Clare is this? The time jump from Edric is amazing, added such depth and backstory, and I like how we got pushes of it throughout the whole story. So chapter 20 is when we realize and know, which I kind of, you kind of get the understanding of, but we fully know now, Peyton is the lost princess, and there was a kind of a switcheroo moment and fudging of documents, and basically the whole castle was just like, hey, you need to be quiet. And then, like, the whole, like, like, their, like, second mom, like, cook, the kitchen lady, she's like, well, I promised I wouldn't tell. Bitch, what are you talking about? Like,
and it would have been so easy for Lauren to be like, we hid it from the staff somehow. Like, we got new staff, like, we slowly replaced the other people. Like, why are we just like, yes, every single, like, the biggest trope ever is that servants talk, and not in this world. In this world, their lips are fucking sealed.
I mean, think about if they would have done something like, because like Edric was a horrible person, right? Like he killed all of his staff that knew.
And then crazy.
And then like Kit and Kai could have been like, hey, like, do you know, because they're, or Kai's questioning her, and she's like, well, actually, I didn't start working here until you were 1. But I've known you since you were a baby, and blah, 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 blah. That gets uncovered. I wish that his mom would have revealed it to him. Like,
yeah, bitch is dying.
What a dumb bitch. Like, honestly, what was her purpose in any of this story? She could have taken, like, her story is really messed up and not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she could have been like, hey, this is my life. This is my story. I'm going to go out on a good beat. No, she's just like, I don't know, Kai. Fucking figure it out.
Fucking, she's like, whatever.
Yeah, I was at work and I had to do like a family tree. So I'm like, okay, where's the missing? Okay, we don't know who Kai's father is. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right, so I'm like, wait, who are we missing here? How are they? Okay, they're half siblings.
Oh, and then they kissed.
I told you. I was like, what in the Cassandra Clare? I was like, what is happening here?
Why? Because Kit knew.
This is the thing. And this girl on TikTok was talking about it too. Because my next one is the wedding.
Okay.
I have 2 things.
Yes. Sorry.
Number 1, if the bitch would have opened the damn box, she would have known. Okay, whatever. It's a plot device. It's fun. We were able to, like, no one actually thought, and I didn't either, that they were actually going to make it to the wedding and actually go through the marriage and all of that, right? Like, I really thought there's no way. But when they actually go through the wedding and they actually get married and they actually kiss and Kai never shows up, and I thought Peyton was gonna like pull out a knife and run out of there like and cause a big scene, and she didn't, and they kissed. And of course I'm like, gross. Kid, now knowing Kid knew, I'm like, it doesn't matter. That's your sister and you kissed her. That's freaking gross. Like, and then they never talk about it. Like
they never talk that would be my first thing. It's like, you kissed me.
They're just like, oh, well then, and then Kai's like, well, Peyton's more of your sibling than I am, blah, blah. No, they don't talk about like, well, why'd you kiss her? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Also, second thing.
Yeah.
Of course Kai is late. Of course Kai, of course she didn't open the box. Like, of course he thinks last minute at the willow tree, I gotta go save her. And then he's too late. Like, whatever. Like, get out of here.
And it made Kai seem weak. Like, genuinely, like a lot of this plot. And I feel like, I don't know if it's a song or a different fantasy trope, but there's something like in my mind of being like, it's like, I don't even need to be your like wife. I'll be your mistress just to like have you. And like, he could have done something like that in a like, I understand your position. I don't know. I don't like how it was executed. Also, speaking of the wedding night, I guessed in my video of things that happened in the Red Queen that I thought were going to happen. And this is not a big spoiler for the Red Queen, which is why I'm sharing it. In the Red Queen, the two love interests have sex for the first time in the woods. And I was like, like that's such a like stupid little detail. I was like, I know Lauren Roberts is taking that. I was like, they're going to have sex outside, probably under the willow tree. And some bitch commented on my video saying wrong. What the fuck? Where did they have sex, Peyton?
Underneath the willow tree. Also, maybe I skirted over this.
Yeah. What?
Isn't his sister buried underneath the willow tree?
Yeah.
So, wait,
that's where they buried Kit.
No.
I don't know, but no, I think that's also where Ava is.
Kai's little sister,
Ava.
Didn't they bury her under the willow tree, and that's why he loved it? So when they were smashing underneath the willow tree, I'm like, I don't go to my family's graves and smash. Like, that's weird. You'd be like,
that's very like Mary Shelby of
I'm like, what? I'm like, So I had to like, once I removed that on my head, it's like, are you guys fucking on your sister's grave? Like, I could be wrong, and like maybe I like skirted over it, and maybe they're like,
yeah, I'm not sure, but in my head canon, that is true now.
But I'm like, I need to look back. Every time I'm like, guys, like this is kind of like, it feels gross. Anyways,
what feels more gross? Tucking on your sister's grave or kissing your sister knowing she's your sister? And then not mentioning it.
And then never being like,
finding out your brother kissed you knowing he was your brother and like just like letting it go.
That's straight up just abuse.
And being like, he's an angel.
Yeah, right. And we're going to name our kid after him.
Oh my God. Okay. What's your point? What's your next point?
Okay. Chapter 60.
Okay.
Callum is her dad. One, it's always a Callum. We find out like, okay, my second plot is I knew there had to be a bad guy. Mm-hmm. So that at this point, we don't have a villain. I don't know what the story
unsatisfying. Yep.
It's so unsatisfying. I don't know who to hate. And so we find out that Callum is her father and he hates her. And the roses are his rose garden and all of that. Okay. And at this point, I'm like, I knew there was a villain. I knew, this is crazy. Like, he is going to fuck shit up for the rest of the book, and the three of them are going to have to band together, and it's going to be great, and we're all going to come to our senses. I don't really know why Kit's coughing all the time. Must be sick or something, but hopefully whatever that is kills him so Kai and Peyton can be together, and we're all good, right? Yeah. And it's always a Callum. I feel like the bad guy is always named Callum. And I don't understand why. And I think it's stupid.
It must be like if you search hot villain names, I bet it's like the first result on Pinterest.
Callum. And then we kill him and we never talk about him again.
It's so.
I mean, other than the fact that he was an accomplice and like kind of fed.
Yeah, when like Kit has his villain monologue in the epilogue of like, I had this step and then this step and this step to take care
we
of.
Kill him. He's your dad. We get no like even more backstory. Like it's just he's dead. Okay, let's move on. It's like
Peyton doesn't mourn him at all of being like, she literally asked him to walk her down the aisle. Why don't we explore any of our interesting plot points? Why do we always, I love what you said earlier, and I know you said it was from a TikTok, resolve things in the next chapter.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. And then we're on to the next thing. It's like, wait, what? So he's not our villain? Who is it? And so, right? Okay. We're moving on. Yes. We're here at your bullet point. I'll read what I have and we can finish this up. Chapter 67, Kit has his Anakin Skywalker moment. And the plot twist, and I have this in all caps, Kit is the villain with a lot of sad faces because Kit reminds me of a character in actually the Infernal Devices a little bit. And I don't want him to be a villain. It's not fair to him.
Wait, who in the Infernal Devices?
We'll talk about it later. I don't want to give it away. I said, bro, I felt bad and actually liked him. I don't know whether to laugh, cry, or rage for real. I said, bro is so sick in the head. I said, I wish there would have been more writing on the wall other than him coughing every so often. Like we were never able to see him slowly descend into madness, or not even just like little foreshadowing, like a little Chekhov's gun of like, oh, he was so cool the whole book, which now makes sense why he was just like, yeah, let's all be friends, let's be cool. You know what I mean? Like it just felt like, and then he goes crazy on him.
Better. Yeah.
You know, when like a friend comes at you and you have no idea that they had all this pent up aggression towards you and they were mad at you for a long time and it's like, whoa, like where's this coming from? And as a reader, I was like, it was like this hot and cold moment where I was like, oh my gosh, like what's happening? It was a cool plot twist. We know that our villain is Kit. Like he's following in his dad's footsteps and for horrible reasons, but yeah, I just wish there would have been. I would have liked to seen that kind of like Joker mentality of like descending into like the craziness more and more.
Yeah. I have here Kit reveal. This is what I wanted in Reckless. This is exactly what I said. I said the only way to make this story satisfying is to make Kit the villain.
Oh yes, I do remember that.
I enjoyed him having a darker side and the plot with the plague. That was the best thing to come out of this series. And it's been too long since I've read The Red Queen, but it just feels like slightly familiar. But I could be wrong in that. The brother thing didn't hit for me at all.
It's like, when you're related.
I genuinely, the like Kit's whole like shtick in the whole, it was that he just wanted Kai to love him more.
It felt kind of gross though. I'm like, are you in love with Kai? Like, I think Kit knew he was doing bad things and he wanted Kai to make him feel like what he was doing was justified. Like, Kai loved Peyton, and so Kit was constantly battling his brother.
The whole struggle felt half-baked, and in the Red Queen series, not to spoil anything, but one of the boys has this awkward loyalty between Mare, the main character, and his brother. That is, again, done so incredibly well that's supposed to be Kai's arc, but he never makes a decision. And that's what pisses me off. These characters don't actually make decisions. They don't actually act like there's never consequences. They're not changing the plot. They're always just reacting. So at the end, when Kit does this huge reveal and he's like, I'm actually the bad guy, which is very like the Mortal Instruments of him. Like, very Sebastian coded.
That's kind of like,
I want you to love me, brother. Choose me. Choose my evil doings. Like, Peyton's just like a bitch between us.
Yeah.
And then they're fighting. And that whole scene.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Play fighting. And the resolution is that, like, Kit was supposed to, like, dodge. And he did dodge and he didn't. So Kai was never actually going to kill him. Kai feels guilty that he killed him, was never intending to kill him. Like, he just revealed that he wants to infect every ordinary, take over the world.
Yeah.
And we paint him with a clean fucking slate. Like, we weren't going to kill him. And Kit's death is so less satisfying than a certain death in the Red Queen series. Like, I'm so sorry. But, like, you can see she tried to do exactly what Miss Victoria Aveyard did. She did it worse. She did it unsatisfying. And it was so stupid. It was so stupid for Kai in the moment, what was supposed to be the ending of his character resolution. Like, Kit just popped off the most interesting part of the book.
Yep. Yeah.
Even if I felt like it should have been developed differently.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I wasn't going to kill him. Well, then what were you fucking doing?
And then it just proves that Kai wasn't able to make a choice anyways. And he was, and Kai said, he was like, well, I can have them both. I can figure this out.
What were you going to do?
Yeah. Like,
he was going to take over the world.
What's the plan, Home Slice? And he's like, Callie and I have been conspiring all along, and this is the plan, and I infected those flowers, and blah, blah, blah. I have for his death, because he was like, you were supposed to dodge, and Kit's like, I know, I forgot, or whatever. And I'm like,
I saw the sword coming at me, and I just said, oopsies.
Yeah, it was so stupid. Anyways, I would have liked if it was they started play fighting and Kai's like, no, we will not have another king like this.
If he would have made a fucking choice.
Yeah, and he can't. I said chapter 68. Listen, Kit's death sucks, right? Like, the demise of honesty, a sweet boy, sucks. Also, Kai being sad about all of this happening at once is horrible. But at least we took care of it, and now and not later. Like, he already started infecting other kingdoms. There's no saving him. Like, I don't understand what's this idea of that, hey, we can still save him. Bro, he's been taking this shit as, like, the guinea pig and is coughing and is, like, not well in the head. There's no saving. Stop killing and stopping. That's what it is.
They said I'm Taylor Swift with Maddie Healy. I can fix him. No, really, I can.
And then that song ends with, maybe I can't.
Maybe I can't. Because you can't.
Because you can't. That was my last point I had. It was, and I don't even want to get into the epilogue. I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to talk. It icks me out. Okay.
Listen, here's what I have.
I wish the book would have just ended right there.
I agree. Yes, honestly. And anyways, just know that Red Queen did it better. I have the HEA, Happily Ever After, because let's just say this is a romance book, and all romance books have to have an HEA.
Yeah.
The HEA was stupid. Them naming their daughter Kit is giving the same energy as Harry naming his kid Severus. And he was a kind king. It's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard, actually. What do you mean? He literally, like, if that other queen didn't notice that her stuff, well, like, he tried to infect all these people. Why are we making him out to be a good guy?
Yeah, they're like, he was good, though. It's like, no, he still chose to be bad. Like, Kai chose to be good.
That's so weird.
They were raised the same.
Imagine taking, like, at the end of the day, Kit was our villain to these books. Like, first his father, and then Kit took up that legacy.
Yep.
That's cool. I like that. That's a way a lot of, like, that's how the fucking Mortal Instruments went, is that it was the father and then the son. But then to try to protect his legacy and paint him as the kind, great king is so weird. It's so weird that Peyton, I understand, like, there's this sadness of, like, the loss of innocence of, like, how the person he could have been. But at the end of the day, that's not the person he was at the end. This isn't the fucking Percy Jackson series. Like, we're not children trying to protect our childhood friend. At the end of the Percy Jackson series, the main guy who had been the villain, they try to, like, rewrite his legacy to act like he was a good guy all along as, like, a coping mechanism. But it's just stupid. It's stupid that Peyton, who spent her entire life, like, being persecuted by these elites, has someone who literally wanted to, like, kill her, do all these horrible things. Her man couldn't even, at the end of the day, when he was revealed to be a tyrannical, evil madman, still couldn't choose her over him. And then to be like, let's name our kid.
Let's name our child after your crazy ass brother and my ex-husband, who is also my brother.
Yes, my brother who kissed me and said nothing.
It was too much. And then the whole afterlife bit of
ghost shit. This is what I have written down. The ghost shit. I don't know, man. It felt silly and awkwardly thrown in there in the end. Like, what was the fucking point?
It felt like I was tripping on acid. Like, I literally was like, listen, if I was more invested in these characters and loved Adina and Matt, like, if I loved that story, I just don't. And so for me, I'm like, he's just dead. There is no afterlife. He's dead. Like, we don't need to hear from Kit anymore. I understand for Kit lovers. I am a Kit lover. I love Kit. He was my favorite character in the series.
Let him be dead.
I don't need his like come to Jesus moment. I don't need him in purgatory moment. Like, I didn't need that. I
don't need Kit finding religion.
I don't need Kit finding God and friends. Like, I just don't need it. I think Lauren wanted to give him a happy ending too.
Yeah.
But like, it just made it feel like not as great. So that's why I say like the endings, I like the ending, but not the ending. So
yeah. Have you seen those TikTok comments where like usually they take a tragic ending and they'll erase it and they're like say that it ended earlier and they'll be like, I screamed this as they drag me away to the asylum. I have that energy, but in reverse. Like I don't like the bow that she tied. I want it to be the previous ending. Like, I just want him to be bad. I want your version where Kai switches from play fighting to actually just like brutally killing Kit and deciding in that moment, what does it mean to Saint Estelle? Like, I want the themes to actually matter. I want this book to be better, and it's not. And I don't know, man.
I don't write like, but in that instance, I'm like, oh, that took all the power, like the power out of the scene.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay if we hurt after reading your book. It meant it was good and it made an impact on me. But now I'm like, oh, but he's just chilling up there. He's just in the whiteness, like chilling with Adina and Mac now. Like, I don't know. All right. Before we wrap this up, what do you think the novella is going to be about? I think it's going to be about Kai figuring out who his dad is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's the only questions I have.
Little Kit, I hate that we jumped forward and like had a full-grown kid.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. Also, the whole book, like Peyton hated being queen and then just was queen. But it wasn't like she had like a moment where she's like, no, I'm going to step into this role. Like, her arc would have been being a queen for the ordinaries, and like that just didn't get hit. I think we also like we haven't tied up any loose ends of how ordinaries like get their legs and like come past this like years of genocide against them. I'm not invested. I have no intentions of reading the novella, and unless I believe, I could be wrong, but I felt like in interviews, Lauren Roberts said that her next series is still going to be set in this world, which is a mistake. I mean, like, I get it. You have this fan base, but I think her fan base would follow her to her next project.
Yeah.
She already, like, the romance story is done between Peyton and Kai.
Yeah. Like, what's next? The daughter? Like, I don't know.
So, like, yeah, like, maybe it'll be, like, the selection series or, like, there's other series out there that now, like, follow the kid. I think she should say, this was my first project. I dropped out of college to write this series. I had this idea. I did it. I can write. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, as much as I want to nitpick on everything in this book, she has garnered a fan base behind her that is very large. I mean, this is one of the best-selling series of like the past 10 years.
And to do it so young too is
crazy. There's something in her writing. There's something in her storytelling. And I think it's all rooted in her characters and romance.
And tropes.
That people are really latching on to. I think maybe she should try to switch genres and write a romance book or two and really sit with fantasy for a moment and try to genuinely develop something good, something original. And I think that would be better. But if she's just coming back to this world, if you guys make me, I'll read it. But otherwise, no, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. I think that was a good summary of all of our feelings on this book. It was a beautiful book. But with that being said,
this was
we did
Powerless trilogy.
We did it, guys. We made it to the end. I cannot believe it. I feel like I've been in a fever dream reading these books, but I read them. And so if you made it to the end of this video, thank you.
Thank you. And thank fuck it's over.
Aubrey's done living in hell. We don't have to think about this anymore. All right. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, comment. We will take the good, the bad, and the ugly. We have a community page. When we're reading books, we kind of let you know. So if you wanted to be a part of our little book club, you can know before the reviews come out.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, and happy reading. Just not this book. That's what you said the last episode. I was like, that's good.
Really? Oh my God. That's so cheeky.